Hey guys, 2016 is just about done. It's been another amazing year for anime. Here are my picks for the top 10 anime of the year. All of these are anime series that I really enjoyed, and they're definitely anime recommendations to everyone. Let's get started.
If everyone is not special, maybe you can't be what you want to be.
Beginning this countdown, from the creator of One Punch Man, Mob Psycho 100. The story for this one centers around Mob, who's this very gifted individual. He's got some extreme psychic abilities. The story here follows Mob as he continues his daily life. He's really just trying to find where he belongs in all of this. The highlight of the show includes Mob's interactions with all of these psychic powered enemies. You could think of Mob as this younger psychic powered version of One Punch Man. Every single enemy seems to underestimate Mob, and most of the time Mob is holding back too. He unlocks his max potential when his emotions hit 100%. The animation of the anime during those scenes is just a spectacle to see. I went ahead and chose Mob Psycho to kick this off for a couple reasons. I couldn't quite put Mob Psycho in my top 5, and I really loved the opening for this show, so why not start off with this one? Mob Psycho also didn't take off for me right away. It felt like it was dragging a bit until the second half. I know there's several other people who placed this much higher, so I'm definitely open to checking this out again. I got a feeling this will be higher on my list when I do. Number 9, Izetta the Last Witch. Izetta the Last Witch gives us an alternate telling of history during World War II. We're introduced to Princess Fine. She's really just trying to secure help for her nation. Along the way, things go south for Fine, but thankfully she manages to run into Izetta. Izetta happens to be the last surviving witch in this time period. It turns out that Izetta and this princess also have a very long history together. Izetta ultimately ends up teaming up with Fine. She pledges to protect the small nation from the incoming threat. The story for this anime has a strong focus on Izetta and her goal. That's why I don't necessarily see this anime being for everyone. How much someone ends up enjoying Izetta really depends on how much you become invested in Izetta and her fight. Izetta is a witch, but she's not all powerful. Her powers are actually pretty restricted. Even when it's a battle of magic versus technology, in most cases, it would really only take a single shot to take out Izetta. Part of having Izetta on their team has them combining Izetta and propaganda. The goal is to display Izetta as this divine being, when in reality, that's not really what's there. Overall, I ended up really enjoying Izetta the Last Witch. It goes in, we get a complete story, and then it's done. Number 8. From the Trigger Studio, Space Patrol Luluko. If you're someone that enjoyed the comedy and ridiculousness of Kill la Kill, this anime is a very nicely condensed version of that. Whatever story we have here focuses on this teenage girl, Luluko. Luluko lives in this city that's a melting pot for humans and aliens living together. Luluko's father is a space patrol officer, and her mother happens to be a space pirate. Luluko quickly finds herself also becoming a space patrol officer to fight for justice. And that's really all you need to know. The show is random as fuck, and I love that. For example, just take a look at Luluko's spacesuit power. She turns into a freaking gun. That's the best power ever. I do have to admit that out of all the anime here, this one's definitely a guilty pleasure for me. A very nice extra bonus from this anime is that it officially puts together the Triggerverse. It not only references every Trigger original anime, all of those properties are nicely connected here. I especially love the episode where they visit the Kill la Kill planet. The episodes for this anime are so short, only 7 minutes. You could really binge the whole thing in an hour. Number 7. My Hero Academia. Boku no Hero Academia Season 1 dropped in the spring of this year. It introduced us to this world where pretty much everyone had some kind of superhero power. The story here largely focuses around our protagonist, Deku. Deku really admires a lot of heroes. He's the ultimate fanboy for them. Unfortunately for him, Deku was not born with any special abilities of his own. Deku has to go down a different path and develop his unique abilities in a different way from everyone else. I personally hadn't heard of this series before the anime started. I just recall that leading up to the debut of My Hero Academia, everywhere online this was being championed to potentially be the next Naruto or One Piece. So far, we just got one season, only 13 episodes. I found that My Hero Academia started off really good. It gave us this very interesting world of heroes, a lot of likable characters, then it just suddenly stopped. It really might have been a better idea to start off with double the amount of episodes, something like Food Wars. Then you could go ahead and chunk it off to shorter seasons every following year. Let's see if there's any more momentum for the series next year. The sequel for My Hero Academia is set to come out spring season 2017. Number 6. 2016 brought us a wonderful world of Keijo. In Japan, Keijo is considered this professional sport. The rules are pretty simple. Keijo is for girls only. Sorry guys. During a Keijo match, everyone is on this platform on the water. The goal is to knock out your opponent. The key thing about Keijo is that the girls could only use their boobage and asses here. Yeah, that's right, no hands or feet. Like you'd imagine, this does mean that some girls do have more of an advantage than others. The story for Keijo focuses on Nozomi, who's training to become a Keijo professional. Honestly, I went into Keijo expecting something completely full of fan service and just plain terrible. The anime knows how ridiculous the premise is. How they handle the ridiculousness of it reminds me a bit of Kill la Kill. On top of the boobage versus butt battles, the top players in Keijo each have their special moves. It's similar to a jutsu from Naruto or Kido from Bleach. There's a whole lot of them. I especially love the Attack on Titan move. Seriously, Keijo just had me laughing out loud so freaking much. It did help that I was watching every episode while drinking. If you haven't done so already, definitely check out Keijo. This anime kicks some major ass. On to the top 5, Erased. Erased tells us the story of Satoru. The thing about Satoru is that he has a strange ability. Whenever an accident is about to happen around him, he's suddenly taken back a few minutes before it actually happens. Satoru has taken advantage of this power that he calls revival. He's used it countless times to prevent accidents and actually save lives. The meat of this story occurs when he's accused of murdering someone very close to him. As he's trying to escape, he finds himself not taking back a few minutes, but years into the past. Satoru is now suddenly himself in a 10-year-old body in 1988. This time, the root cause of this murder began 18 years ago. It all began with the death of this classmate of his. Erased boils down to a murder mystery anime with that supernatural revival ability thrown in. The anime series was really a hit while it was airing. I remember thinking that it would easily be my number 1 of the year. It just had to land that ending. So that's the thing. How you feel about Erased will ultimately be based on how you feel about the ending. I honestly had mixed feelings about it then, and kinda do even now. There still is a lot to enjoy from this anime series, so I highly recommend checking it out and coming up with your own conclusion. My top pick at number 4, Flip Flappers. Honestly, this was a pretty surprising hit for me. Let me welcome you to the crazy world of Flip Flappers. One day, out of the blue, this energetic girl on this flying surfboard appears in front of Kokona. That's Paprika. We get to see both of their adventure together as they travel into the strange world that is pure illusion. Their goal is to gather all these crystal fragments that exist here for this organization called Flip Flap. At the beginning of this anime, Flip Flappers really reminded me a lot of Fooly Cooly. Flip Flappers is this mixture of Sailor Moon with Dragon Ball Z elements. Kokona and Paprika have their own power transformations. They use these to kick some tail when things get serious. The whole anime is filled with gorgeous animation when they visit these different areas in pure illusion. There's a lot of variety to them. Some of these places remind me a lot of Super Mario levels, like this clock tower area in particular. Another one is this desert one that just screams Mad Max. One of the areas even just had me saying, fuck no. At first glance, this might not be the type of anime you would check out, but I highly recommend it. Number 3, Konosuba. This show is freaking amazing. The setup for Konosuba is similar to ReZero of this year. We got our main character, Kazuma, that one day dies in a really pathetic way. At the afterlife lobby, Kazuma is greeted by this charming goddess, Aqua. She tells him that Kazuma has an option to be reborn in a fantasy world. Of course, for the hardcore gamer, the choice is obvious. As a bonus, the goddess Aqua will grant Kazuma one thing to take into this fantasy world. After getting super annoyed at her, Kazuma ends up selecting her, the goddess Aqua. So that's where we begin. Kazuma and his new best buddy, Aqua, find themselves in this RPG type of fantasy world. They got monsters, different type of quests, different player classes, several skills that everyone's able to learn, and even raid bosses. The story for Konosuba is just a complete blast. They play around with a lot of the ideas of this fantasy world and just poke fun of it throughout the series. I find myself laughing so much with this series. There's a lot to love. In all, this fantasy world turns out nothing like Kazuma had hoped. He really should have made a better pick too. Aqua is completely useless, both her and her invisible underwear. Kazuma might actually have ended up in hell. Every single person he teams up with is more useless than the next. Konosuba boils down to this adventure of the asshole Kazuma, the useless airhead goddess Aqua, the very perverted holy knight Darkness, and the little wizard Miss Michael Bay. This is definitely a must-see show, and it's also a great combination with ReZero. Thankfully, the sequel for Konosuba is coming out next year. Pretty awesome, there's gonna be more explosions to look forward to. Number 2, Showa Genroku Rakugo Shinju. Surprised? I'm a little surprised myself that this anime ended up here. After finishing this anime, I think it's well deserved. This anime is simply a story about life. It focuses on the story of two best friends. We get to see their journey and struggles as they move through the world of Rakugo. So what the hell is Rakugo anyway? I honestly had no idea before going into this. Rakugo is a form of Japanese storytelling on a stage. The performer uses mostly hand gestures and also changes in their voice to portray all the characters in their story. It doesn't sound too exciting from the get-go, but this anime does a wonderful job showing their performances. Throughout this whole anime, I didn't really find myself rooting for any particular character. Both of our two main characters, as well as everyone around them, are pretty flawed individuals. We as an audience do have this bird's eye view into their lives, and I just think the series does an excellent job in showing this to us. The whole series makes you reflect on your own life. There's countless times in their lives where the characters make what are simply in-the-moment choices. Later on, we get to see how much of a significance this had in their lives. It ultimately determined the path they went down in life. It really makes you think about some of your own choices that you made in life. What are some of your own choices that you made that led you to where you are now? I didn't realize how invested I had become in the lives of these two guys until near the very end. It hit me pretty damn hard. I was just completely in tears on the second last episode. In all, this series is one that I highly recommend, especially if this sort of anime doesn't sound like something you'd be into. Number 1, ReZero. Narrowing down the list for the top 10 anime was pretty hard, but honestly, choosing number 1 was super easy. ReZero got me right from the first episode and just wouldn't let go. Our story for ReZero focuses on Natsuki Subaru. Out of the blue one night, Subaru finds himself transported into this fantasy world. Subaru has no idea how things work in this world, so he quickly finds himself getting his ass kicked. Thankfully, in accordance to fantasy world rules, Subaru is saved by this half-elf girl. As a thank you, Subaru teams up with her to search for something that was stolen from her. Just a few hours later, the two find themselves in a horrible situation. Subaru and the girl are sliced open and murdered. Subaru just got to his world and already died so quickly. Or did he? Subaru awakens to a very familiar scene. it looks like the same time as when he first arrived to this fantasy world. It seems that Subaru, in a way, has respawned in this world after dying. There is just so much to love about Re:Zero. I already even did a half-hour deeper breakdown after its finale. Let me just go ahead and mention a few key things. To start off, the story and writing. Without going deep into spoilers, there is a certain mystery at the beginning of the series. Subaru, and also as the viewers, are trying to piece things together over several episodes. This in particular was executed pretty damn well. There's also several small things that are placed here and there throughout the anime. These things range from character expressions, a small hint of something thrown into what someone said, or simply things in the background that are foreshadowing things to come. If you guys have already watched it, I would definitely recommend rewatching the series when you get another chance. The little subtle things that stand out alone is worth the rewatch. As for the characters, we got the main character, Subaru. Love him or hate him, they did an excellent job at making you feel the tragedies that this guy goes through, both physically and especially mentally. A little bonus for myself was just that Subaru really reminded me of myself a lot. Let's also not forget the maids, Rem and Ram. By far the best girl in the series, the lovable Rem won the hearts of a ton of people. And one of the best things about them was both of the twins banter together when they were first getting to meet Subaru. There's also the very lovable spirit, Puck. This kitten is freaking adorable. I'm just wondering, why haven't they made a plushie of this yet? They would make a freaking killing. Anyway, I could go on for another hour, so let me just wrap it up. Re:Zero is as close to a masterpiece as possible, but it does have some flaws. The biggest issue that Re:Zero does have is just the amount of unanswered questions that we're left with. Re:Zero is not a complete story. It really only covers a fraction of the whole intended story from the light novel. For me, just the thought that someday we're gonna get a sequel lessens this as an issue for me. On the other hand, I do see some other people not being satisfied with all these questions left at the very end. So come on guys, let's make season 2 happen. Go out, buy the novel, some Re:Zero underwear, the upcoming Re:Zero game, and let's not forget about that life-size Rem statue. Rem is the best girl after all. If anyone's interested in a deeper breakdown on the series, I do encourage you guys to check out my full half-hour review on it. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my top anime picks for 2016. If you did, go ahead and like and subscribe for more anime videos like this one. There's gonna be a new top anime video every week. I could guarantee that not everyone agreed with the animes I listed here, so be sure to post your own top 10 anime of the year down below. Hopefully you guys would check out some of the anime I did recommend on here. Don't forget to take a look at the upcoming anime in 2017, there's a bunch of sequels coming. Have an awesome New Year's and I'll see you guys later.